Welcome back to another Weather on the Go weather forecast discussion, everybody. Good Thursday morning out there. We're just starting off September 1st on a good note here. We got active weather across the tropics we're going to talk about in this video. We're also going to be talking about the heat out west with record-breaking high temperatures possible, flooding rains across the deep south, and your long-range weather forecast as we get toward the middle of September as well. Good morning out there, everybody. If you guys have not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel or liked this video, definitely do both down below and hit the notification bell to get all my daily updates here every single day, as we have daily weather forecast updates here on the Weather on the Go weather channel. It's all your weather coverage. I cover weather events from coast to coast, southern and southeastern Canada, as well as expanding my reach here to England and also portions there of Canada weather forecasts as well here in the future. So definitely hit the subscribe button down below, and I definitely appreciate it. So first off here, talking about your tropical weather update, we got three separate areas across the Atlantic we're watching over the next several days. Two of these areas in the red shaded colors here, one across portions of the just north and east of the Caribbean across the southwestern Atlantic Ocean, has a very high probability of developing, around an 80% chance of development in the next 2 to 5 days. Another smaller red shading area here into the North Atlantic, that is the area we're watching for another 80% chance of development over the next 2 to 5 days. And yet another system coming off Africa that has a medium probability of a 50% chance of development in the next 2 to 5 days as well. So looking at all these systems here using the satellite imagery here, you can see we got that smaller system here in the North Atlantic, some moisture up there as well, starting to gain some strength. I wouldn't be surprised if this storm, wouldn't develop into a tropical depression or tropical storm within the next 48 hours, as this starts to look a little bit more impressive on the satellite picture. But looking here across portions just to the east of the Windward Islands, that's the other system that has a high probability of development here over the next several days as it pushes west-northwestward here just to the north of the Windward Islands and actually towards Bermuda potentially over the next several days. So we'll continue to watch that. That could also develop into a tropical depression or tropical storm. And then the system behind that coming off of Africa also has a medium probability, a 50% chance of development over the next 2 to 5 days as well, into a tropical depression or tropical storm as well. So looking here at the ocean sea surface temperatures here, we got in the orange shaded colors, that is around 25 to 30 degrees Celsius for air, sea surface temperatures there. So that's pretty warm. That's anomalously warm across the Atlantic Ocean. So that's something we're watching for this fuel for these systems to work with. If these systems manage to make it to the Western Caribbean or the Gulf, some of these sea surface temperatures there, especially the west coast of Florida, down near Cuba and the western Bahamas there in the red shaded colors, that's 30 to almost 35 degrees Celsius for sea surface temperatures. Very much favorable for, tropical storms, even hurricanes in that type of environment. So that will be something we'll monitor as we kind of move forward in through the hurricane season a little bit further, as we are approaching peak hurricane season. So that is something we'll continue to watch out for. Looking here, however, at the past 24-hour pressure changes here in the Atlantic, you can see here with these brighter colors, those are high pressure systems here, but we're seeing lowering of the pressure here across the northern Atlantic, where we have that system likely to develop here in the next 2 to 5 days, probably within, like I said, the next 24 to 48 hours. And then we got another system here just to the east of the Windward Islands, starting to see some lowering pressures there. And then there is some high pressure coming off of the African coast, but we are seeing some lowering pressures coming right along the coastlines there of Africa with that other system there as well. So we got a lot of lowering pressures here in the Atlantic Ocean, and this does signal the potential for some active times in the tropics. So that will be something to watch over the next several days. So looking at this here with using the icon model across the Atlantic, Caribbean, and Gulf here to see what we have going on. This afternoon, we got that system on a 1,011 millibar low, probably a tropical depression developing across the North Atlantic Ocean. We got a 1,008 millibar low just to the east of the Windward Islands, and a 1,006 millibar low pressure system here coming off the coast of Africa here as we head into this afternoon. Now, as we fast forward into Saturday evening, we got a lot going on here. Again, we got a 991 millibar low developing potentially into a stronger tropical storm, if not a hurricane, across the northern Atlantic Ocean over the open waters here, kind of, a nuisance across those areas. But we'll be watching here just to the north and northeast of the Windward Islands here and the Greater Antilles as we head into late this weekend for potentially a tropical depression or even a tropical storm potentially developing in these areas. Like I said, with these warmer waters, definitely favorable for development there. And then we'll also watch the system here just coming off Africa over the open waters of the southern Atlantic Ocean behind that system as we get into late in the weekend. But as we get into early next week, guys, we have probably a hurricane strengthening system across the northern Atlantic here. Definitely seeing a lot of a signal there of a 963 millibar low there. But again, nuisance kind of just over the open waters and well away from the United States. We're more worried here about the 995 millibar low potentially across portions there just to the north of the Greater and Lesser Antilles and heading toward the Bahamas, potentially even Bermuda as we head towards the early and middle portion of next week. So if you guys have plans to go to Bermuda, if you have anybody that is in the Bahamas or the Bermuda area, definitely want to let them know that there could be a formidable storm on the way as we head into next week. Now, looking here at another feature we have to watch with the steering current for these storms is, the upper air pattern here across portions of southeastern Canada and New England, because this could also deter a landfalling system. So looking as we head into early next week, we do have a little bit of a subtle trough across New England and southeastern Canada, namely Quebec into portions there of eastern Ontario there into portions of Canada. And this will actually start to push southeastward. So while that does occur, this will actually push weather systems from west to east with that zonal flow across the east central United States, and this will actually steer that system more out to sea rather than making a landfalling system that we have coming off of the Greater Antilles and going toward Florida or anything like that. It looks more like this will stay over the open waters, which is good news. We do not want to see a landfalling system, but it will continue to definitely keep tabs on that as we get a little bit farther out. But that system, like I was telling you, behind that, we could be seeing another potential hurricane develop or tropical storm as we head into late next week here, right on the heels. And again, this trough will have major influence on the steering current for this as we get into late next week. So we'll continue to watch that across the Atlantic. That is for sure. Looking here at the Eastern Pacific Ocean, very active times as well. We got an 80 to 90% chance of development here just to the south of the Baja of California and west of Mexico, and then another medium chance, about a 40-50% chance of development right along the coast and maybe just south of the Mexico coast there as well across the Eastern Pacific Basin. We'll have to watch. Looking at the satellite imagery, we got a lot going on here. One system, like I said, starting to organize, moving across the Central Americas into southern portions there of, Mexico, just off the coast of Mexico there. And then we got this other system developing here over the open waters of the Eastern Pacific Basin on the satellite imagery. And the same holds true across the Eastern Pacific Basin. We got these orange shaded colors, these red shaded colors with warm, anomalously warm, sea surface temperatures, 25, 30, 32 degrees Celsius, which is very formidable for tropical systems to develop in this environment with a lot of less shear in this environment as well. So you have low shear, you have warm, anomalously warm sea surface temperatures. Yes, this would signal the potential for tropical storms, if not hurricanes, potentially even major hurricanes, and that will be something we'll highlight here. We will have some lowering of the pressures here in the Eastern Pacific Basin over the next several days. The last 24 hours we've had a lot of high pressure working in across this region, but this will start to change as we have these systems moving across this area over the next several days. So we'll continue to watch that. Looking again at the icon model, we have a tropical depression likely forming later on today, if not here tomorrow afternoon. And definitely you can see that here with a 1004 millibar low over the Eastern Pacific Basin. We'll start to see this develop a little bit more toward probably tropical storm status at a 999 millibar low here just to the west of the Baja of California, places like Cabo San Lucas, and maybe just up the coast there, maybe into southern portions of California could feel the effects of some moisture from the system as we get into this weekend and into early next week. Meanwhile, we have another system developing just off the coast there of Mexico into the Eastern Pacific Basin right on its heels, and that will continue to propagate its way to the north and west here right along the coastline there of Mexico, likely as we get into Sunday, September 4th. And then as we kind of move into that time frame as well, it's going to drag a lot of moisture with it up northward. So Not only will we be talking about wind systems with this, we'll also be talking about potentially some very heavy rainfall either near the coastline or just offshore here. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on this, especially even up towards the Baja of California as this kind of moves to the north and west. But as we get into the early to middle portion of next week, so that September 5th, 6th, 7th time frame, the Icon model has been consistent here in the last few runs of showing a strengthening system, a strengthening hurricane across the eastern Pacific Basin with a 970 millibar low there over the open waters, and then potentially a 955 millibar low, which would be at, a category 3 or stronger potentially, moving up again toward Cabo San Lucas and into portions there of the Baja of California. So definitely, if you guys live in these areas, if you have vacation plans down near Cancun, Cabo San Lucas, anywhere across these areas, you definitely want to keep an eye on your weather forecast because this could be a major hurricane as we get into the middle and late portion of next week. So we'll continue to update you on that. But also with these systems, they will bring a lot of moisture northward towards Southern California, Arizona, as well as Texas again. The jet stream is oriented in a way where this will start to move eastward here with all the moisture across the portions of the deep south once again during the September 6th through the September 10th time frame. So again, we'll have widespread anomalously high precipitation amounts potentially across these areas with widespread rainfall and thunderstorm activity from Texas all the way over toward the mid-south, maybe parts of the southeast, and again across portions there of Arizona and maybe even Southern California. So we'll continue to watch that as we head into early next week and potentially the next weekend's time frame as well. But like I said, with the heat across the west, we got all these orange and pink shaded colors. In the orange, you have heat advisories across Idaho, eastern Oregon, even up into portions of western Washington, much of north central Nevada. But in the pink shaded colors, those are excessive heat warnings across much of California, southern Nevada toward Las Vegas, Los Angeles, a lot of these places, San Diego. You guys could be talking about some widespread record-breaking heat as we head through the next few days as well. So looking at this here, using the upper air kind of heights here, you can see a ridge will be starting to extend northward, kind of spiking up towards British Columbia and southwestern Alberta as we kind of move into that Thursday time frame here this afternoon. And the reason for that is because we have troughing across the eastern and northeastern Pacific Ocean, so that does force that ridge to kind of amplify all the way up into southwestern Canada this afternoon. That will continue even further here as we head into this weekend, really amplifying all the way up to potentially central Canada here. Places like Saskatchewan, Manitoba, even Alberta will be much above average as we head into this weekend, even still much above average and potentially even record-breaking high temperatures across California, Nevada, and the Four Corners will be expected with a strong trough across the Aleutian Islands and the Northeast Pacific Ocean. So that will be kind of the signal that we're watching for this amplifying ridge across the middle of the country, and that only continues to kind of extend its way over towards southeastern Canada and even maybe the northern plains and upper Midwest as we head into early next week. And the Climate Prediction Center does agree in their 6 to 10 day temperature probability outlook here from Tuesday, September 6th through Saturday, September 10th. You can see widespread above normal temperatures are favored not only for the West Coast and the Rockies, but potentially over toward the northern plains, the Great Lakes, and the upper Midwest during this period as well, with only some cooler than normal anomalies showing up where I likely, we'll see some rainfall and thunderstorm activity again across portions of Arizona, southern New Mexico, into portions of Texas there, into the Mid-South region and the Gulf Coast as we head into next week and the following weekend. But looking at these temperatures this afternoon, guys, look at California, guys, especially Southern California, 110, 112, 115 in some of these spots, even widespread middle and upper 90s across eastern Montana, the Dakotas, all the way south here to Kansas. That only expands a little bit in intensity as we head into your Friday tomorrow on September 2nd. Widespread 110s and record-breaking heat across California as we head into tomorrow, and that will continue even more widespread across these areas here as we head into Saturday. So widespread heat, not only for one day, not for 2 days, but for several days in a row. So that will be something to watch. Even if you live in Montana, even if you live in Wyoming, some of these areas could be heating up in a big way as we head into early this weekend. Regarding the precipitation chances, we still have that stationary boundary kind of hanging up right along portions of the Red River there, all the way down the Gulf Coast here towards Florida, with some rainfall potential there into Texas, Oklahoma, all the way along the immediate Gulf Coast towards coastal Georgia, much of the Florida Peninsula, and portions there of Alabama. That will continue not only today, but all the way through Friday and Saturday, with that kind of stationary boundary really kind of remaining very stubborn across these areas, with widespread rainfall from New Orleans, the coastal Texas, from Brownsville to Corpus Christi to Houston, all the way over toward Mobile, Alabama, Pensacola. Some of these areas will be seeing some widespread rainfall repeatedly every single day for the next few days. And again, some pretty heavy rainfall amounts are expected, especially from coastal Texas there into portions there of coastal Louisiana, so from places like New Orleans, getting down there towards the Baton Rouge area, Houston, Corpus Christi, all the way down to Brownsville. We could see widespread rainfall totals of 1 inch to 3 inches potentially in these areas. Even as you get up toward Atlanta or Savannah, Georgia, getting all the way down towards portions of the northwest Florida panhandle there, we could be talking about potentially upwards of 1 inch or 2 inches there as we go through the next 72 hours, the next 3 days, going all the way through Sunday morning. So we'll continue to watch that as well. And with all that rainfall out there, there's no surprise the Weather Prediction Center does remain in line with a slight to even moderate risk for excessive rainfall, especially into West Texas, but places like Dallas, Fort Worth, Texarkana, Tyler, Texas, some of these areas, Shreveport, Louisiana, we could be talking about some numerous flash flooding events potentially down here this afternoon, especially, like I said, in West Texas there, the Fort Stockton area in particular. And then as we kind of move into your Friday tomorrow, again, widespread, marginal to even slight risk for excessive rainfall across the Deep South, and that only continues, maybe even starting to inch its way northward toward the Tennessee Valley as we head into this weekend. So that will be something to watch for sure. Looking at the longer range weather forecast, kind of a feature we're watching here, the GFS has been consistent. Even the European forecast model has been consistent as well, and bringing a stronger deepening trough across the Pacific Northwest. Some of these troughs developing over the Aleutian Islands will start to kind of move southeastward toward the United States here as we kind of move potentially toward late next week. And this could be a stronger trough once again that will kind of potentially be cut off in the flow, but we'll continue to watch this a little bit more. There's a lot of time between now and then, but if this trough is still formidable like we've been seeing in the last couple of runs here with the GFS and the European forecast model, this could bring the potential for more heavy rainfall and severe weather across places like the Dakotas, the upper Midwest, and perhaps the middle Mississippi Valley as we head into late next week and even next weekend. So that will be something to watch here as we get closer toward the middle of September, but definitely wanted to make this here, turn this on your radar that yes, we could be talking about more heavy rainfall and also more severe weather across these areas as we get a little bit farther out. And another feature we're watching as well, kind of with these troughs that could be moving in here for the late next week time frame, this system, whether or not it develops, it's going to bring a lot of moisture up here from portions of Mexico into the desert Southwest, the southern plains, all the way up here, all the way to Canada as we head here into next weekend. So that will be something to watch here. This moisture will not stop. It will move all the way up into the plains and all the way up into southern Canada as well. And this could be kind of a focal point for a frontal boundary, like a cold front or something like that, to move on through for some severe weather. And that will also increase the dew points, which will in turn increase the surface-based instability, or CAPE, convective available potential energy. We'll have some moderate instability potentially trending here using the CFS model. Again, this is more for trends. It's not the exact amount of instability, but again, it's showing you the potential there, for some stronger instability building as we head toward late next week and even next weekend, potentially all the way down into Texas. So we'll continue to watch that as we get a little bit farther out. But again, guys, I did want to really highlight the tropics for you guys, the heat out west, potentially some record-breaking heat, and also the flooding down south. That is our main weather stories in this video. Thanks so much for watching. Definitely appreciate all you guys watching here every single morning. Definitely means the world to me, so thank you so much. Remember to like the video down below by giving it a thumbs up. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. As always, I'll get to those later on today. And again, guys, thank you so much for all the new subscribers out there. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit the notification bell to get more of my daily updates updates here as we head through the next several days, because we have a lot of great weather updates coming up here for you guys, breaking down the weather pattern. So hit the subscribe button, tell your family, tell your friends to do so as well, because this is a great weather channel, all your weather coverage. Again, I do weather forecasts here from coast to coast and also across southern and southeastern Canada, as well as the tropics and the Caribbean as well. So subscribe to the channel, guys. We're almost to 1,000 subscribers. Definitely appreciate it, and I'll see you all in the next video.